I'm off for a walk down in my local woods. I'm going to take a look for some pieces of willow that I could use to create a tri-stick. What I have is a Schrade SCHF 56, and I want to see if, despite the thickness of the blade, it's still agile enough to accomplish all of the various knots and carving tasks that are mentioned in terms of Morris Kahansky and his tri-stick. So I'm off to the woods now. I'll keep you posted. If you've spent any time in the woods at all, you'll know what a joy it can be to be out on a cool, sort of mid-spring day. A lot of the first blush of spring in terms of flowers has faded somewhat, and what we're left with here are the deepening green of the leaves and the sudden luxuriance of vegetation. The forest that a few months ago was barren with these sort of somber bare trunks of pines and things like that has suddenly become this sort of impenetrable wash of green everywhere you look. And at this hour of the morning, with the sun still comparatively low in the sky, it's a great delight to be out and to wander through the woods like this and see just, what's out there and what we can find as we go through the woods. So part of this is simply exploration. It's looking, it's seeing. I do have a tri-stick agenda, but there's so much more to be enjoyed beyond that. I'm watching a crow fly overhead. It's beautiful watching birds navigate through the canopy. I'll reverse the camera here in a second so you can see what I just mentioned the crow flying overhead. This is what the crow gets to play in. In a section of pine forest, I chanced along a game trail, and this game trail would eventually lead me into these sort of swamplands that I was headed towards in search of a willow branch for a tri-stick. I'm in a floodplain area that can only be explored at certain times of the year because of the variety of reasons. You can probably, hopefully, see behind me the sort of the grassy areas that are sometimes underwater after heavy rains or things like that. And it's an area that runs along some creeks and some flooded areas. But the problem shortly is going to be the fact that you'll have lots of greenbrier and lots of poison ivy and snakes and things like that that tend to discourage free roaming in this kind of area. But that also happens to be where willow is, and I'm looking for willow for my tri-stick, so that's why I'm here. A lot of wildlife sign too. I found a little tuft of a raccoon tail somewhere, and often spook deer when I'm down here, so I'll see what's up, and if I can get a picture of something, I'll certainly do that. Here I have found a deer track and some nice poison ivy bark. Some nice fresh new poison ivy. But what I was really drawn to here is part of the beauty of this sort of wetland area. But nature's cycle. Here we have a fallen tree, and you can see the decomposers are well in action on turning this into something that will be usable for future plants and future generations. So nature's pretty amazing. Don't know if you can tell this or not. It looks like a lot of deer have been through here. But what's really interesting to me is how little spider webs, cobwebs, have frequently filled up the tracks where those deer were as they're moving through this area. Other critters too, as I'm looking at it. I can't really tell That looks like it might be a coon track or something. I'm kind of on an animal highway down here in the bottoms, and it's easy to see why, because they're picking the easiest way through these tangles of trees. Part of this wetland area was created complements of our once local beaver population, and they've been trapped and killed or moved away, but you can still see remnants of what they've accomplished. And the stream that runs through. It's a really beautiful area, especially this time of year. Honeysuckle in the foreground, new poison ivy, fresh sprouts in the background, vines tangling the trees, and thickets. These are some of the challenges that will make it harder to get through this area shortly once the vegetation really starts to take hold. Game trail continues here. I was walking along here and I noticed a stick. It curiously didn't have bark, and I was thinking that's about the right size for a tri-stick. And then I began to look more closely at the stick. And as I looked closely at it, I began to notice markings. And when I picked it up, I realized the unmistakable handiwork of a beaver. Looks like some little critter found a nice spot for a home here in a hollow log that it was felled by wind at some point. Okay, I think I found a suitable tri-stick. Yeah, this should give me plenty to practice with. Okay, so this has been a successful trip for me. I found this piece of dead standing willow. It was off of a willow tree that had been bent over by some ice storm or something like that. Still alive, but this particular piece was dead, so I was able to harvest it without damaging the tree. And it should give me plenty of wood to work with various knives on some tri-sticks, and I'm thinking that's going to be part of a different video, just to kind of explain what a tri-stick is and why you would try to do something like that. But this has been a fruitful morning. It's been a beautiful morning in the woods, and I hope you've enjoyed some of the scenery and some of my discoveries along the way. I've reached the furthest point I'm going to go in the woods, but obviously I have to get all the way back out, and that's going to take some time and some doing. So stay tuned. I may find some other stuff on the way out that I want to share with you, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I have a long way to go through all this, way back down here. And that's a lot of very carefully placing your feet, because it's reptile season, or more specifically snake season, and I don't want to have a snake discover me before I discover a snake. So, but it is pretty, and we'll see what I can see. I thought I heard something in the woods. Might have been a deer moving. I don't know. Anyway, if you're out and about, don't just blunder through something like this in excitement to get back to playing with whatever it was you wanted to do. In my case, a tri-stick. There's a lot else you can do, like step on a snake, so be careful. I'm going to be quiet for a moment and just let you listen if you can. Hopefully my camera microphone is good enough to pick this up. But just listen to the bird sounds. was talking about the joys of carefully placing your feet in this kind of terrain. Guess what I did? I dropped a glove. And I don't like leaving signs of me behind in nature when animals have to deal with it. But I also don't like losing gear, so I'm backtracking. Just part of it. Beautiful little deer track there. And guess what else? My missing glove. My, oh my, isn't it pretty? Little poison ivy. One of the banes of my woodland excursions. Greenbrier. Well, I'm out of the bottom, climbing uphill a little bit, and I'm looking for, there it is. Piece of fat wood that I harvested, which looks really good. And my mug. Something that I look for when I'm hiking in the woods is different kinds of rocks. This one happens to be quartz, and it's not as hard as flint, but you can use it with carbon steel to create a spark for fire starting. I don't need it, so I'm going to leave it where I found it. Don't think I processed this quite fine enough. There we go. Okay, well, I'm going to head back with my willow pole and finish stripping the bark off of it, and then I'm going to probably cut it into lengths that I can use for tri-sticks. So thank you for coming along with me, and hope you've enjoyed this little vicarious jaunt out into the woods and the spring woods, and hope to see you next time. So thanks for joining me. Bent Brook out.